In this video, let's try to understand what is JWT and what's the advanced features that it provides compared to normal tokens that we have discussed in the previous videos. So firstly, JWT means JSON Web Token. That's a full expansion of it. It is a token implementation that leverages JSON format designed to use inside the web request. And it is the most common and favorite token type that many systems and users applications that they use these days due to its features and advantages like very lightweight, and it uses JSON format which can be understood by everyone, and at the same time it allows us to send the data in an encrypted format. JWT tokens can be used beyond authentication and authorization. Like if I want to share certain information, or if I want to store certain information inside my token itself rather than storing inside the server's memory, which will degrade the performance of the server over a period of time, what I can do is I can store all such information that I want to communicate to the other system or for my future reference inside my token itself in an encrypted format. So basically, JWT token has three parts which are separated by dots. You can see below is the sample JWT token that got generated, and the very first yellow color highlighted part is a header part. And right now this is all base 64 encoded value. Suppose that after the first dot we have a payload or body part of the token where we store all the user related information or any other information that we want to store for ourselves. And lastly, we have a signature part, and this is an optional only if you are going for the encryption and if you want to make sure that no one tampered your header and body parts of your token, then only you will use this last part, which is a signature part. Otherwise, header and body is a mandatory sections, whereas signature is an optional one. So if you go and look the header part, so usually we use header part to store the metadata or info related to the token, like what type of algorithm I have used to generate the signature of my token, or what is the type of token, is it a JWT or any other token type, etc. So initially when we generate a token, this is how the data looks. Suppose that before sharing to the client, that will be converted into a base 64 encoded so that people on the other side, they can easily decode using base 64. Post the header part, we have a body part where we can store related to user, their roles, which can be later be used by authentication and authorization purpose. And there is no limitation what we send inside the body and what is the size of it. We can send any size of the data inside body part, but it's our responsibility to keep it as light as possible so that we don't create latency issues in the network. Here you can see inside the body I'm storing sub, name and IAT. IAT means issued time, issued at what is the time that I have issued the token. Post the body will be converted again into the encoded format. So you can see here what is the need for me to store the data inside the body of the token. There are two reasons. One is you want to share the information on the other side of the parties so that they can also use these roles and authorities that you are sending for their business logic. And the other purpose is, if you go with the traditional ways of generating a session, you have to maintain all such details inside your database, like what is the session ID, when I have created, what is the expiration time of it. So all such details you have to store it in some memory location or some database, and every time for every request you have to retrieve those details and compare what you have received from the client. To avoid such scenarios, we can maintain such information like I have created this token at this point of time and this is the expiration time of it. So all such information I can maintain inside the token itself so that we don't have to maintain such information inside a session, server session or memory or a database. So now we have an understanding of what is header, what is body. Let's try to understand the most important part of the JWT token, which is a signature value. Suppose think of a scenario where I am generating a token and I am sending the token to other internal application inside my company firewall. So in this scenario, I'm pretty sure no hackers can access my token and they can't tamper that value also. For such scenarios, I can simply send the header and body of the token since I'm believing the other side of the application, and we can communicate any such information between my application and the other side application. But if we have a scenario where the token will fly into the open world through the web, then we have to make sure there are enough measures to detect that someone tampered the token, because you are not storing that token anywhere inside your backend application like in the server memory or database. Then how do you validate if someone sends whether this is the really that you generated or not? So for that we use the digital signature. So what we do is we generate a hash value outside header and body value that got generated in the token. We send that hash value inside the token also. And if someone tampers my header and body values from the other side of the party and send the value again to me, what my backend application will do is it will try to calculate the hash value of the header and body again and compares the already value present in the token with the newly generated hash value. And if they both matches, when I say matches, not the content but the hash value of the both values matches, then it believes, okay, this is my original token that I generated and no one tampered the token. So that's the purpose of the digital signature inside our JWT token. And the way that we can create this JWT token is, you can see here, we can choose the encryption algorithm that we want to use, pass the base64 encoded header value dot base64 encoded value of the payload along with the secret key that you maintain in the server side. So this secret key will play a very prominent role in generating the hash value outside from your header and payload values. So on a high level, this is how the JWT token looks. So the very first part is header, and next is body or payload, and the last one is a signature. So all these parts are separated by the dots present in between. And JWT tokens are heavily used in the HTML and HTTP environments, and they have a great advantage compared to SAML tokens, which are XML based standards. And since JSON tokens uses JSON format, they are very light in nature. You may ask, why do you want to send the base64 encoded value, the header and body? You can also encrypt and send that header and payload to provide more security on top of hash value that we maintain in the signature value. Yeah, even that scenario also is very valid. If you have a stronger requirement of encrypting even the header and body so that no unauthenticated application can't see your actual values present inside header and payload, you are free to use them. But please remember, whenever you introduce encryption and decryption unnecessarily, it will use lot of your server computations values. So that's by default. You can always send your header and body in base64 encoded value, since that is very easy to decode, and you can protect those values by generating a signature and hold it in the signature part. So in this way you can maintain the credibility of your token and make sure no one tampering your token in the network. If you want to play more about JWT, what you can do is you can go to this website jwt.io, which is dedicated for JWT tokens. You can see here you can put a sample encoded value inside this left hand side, and it will give you the what are the header value and what is the payload from that encoded, because our header and body are simple base64 encoded, so they will decode it and display here. But the signature, since it's a hash value, they can't decode it or decrypt it. Only a server which has a secret key can generate a new hash value and compare both hashes to identify whether the token is a valid or not. So now we have a clear understanding on JWT. Let's try to implement these JWT tokens inside our EasyBank application to make it more secure and allow to share certain information to the client application as well. Thank you and see you in the next video. Bye.